Good morning. Don't mind my lazy look, but I just wanted to real fast, video support my paper again. Um, I felt like this one was easier because most of us are experiencing it. So the 7 principles, what topics, looking back on the course so far, I definitely agreed with Vygotsky's social development theory, and through social interaction, students learn. Um, I see this all the time in my preschool because I have some students with a wide variety of language, and the only way to really understand each other is through this and trying to figure it out. And most of the time, we have to model with visuals or just repetition. For example, one student is very with both speech and sign, where the other one is just more this, but more body language compared to this. So how we interact with that, the deaf tendencies, and just kind of teaching by modeling. And then for collaboration, this program is so new and I can only really connect it to what I'm doing right now. But without it, nothing can really happen, There's so many different members and agencies that I have to work with, and different components and pieces, and who does what. We really need to set up like a diagram so we can clearly state who does what, because sometimes there's like an overlapping confusion, and that that affects our students' plan for the day sometimes. If, oh, I noticed that student needs this, what do I do? Who do I ask? And without this being fast, smooth, and open, there's barriers. The way I react, because some of them are not as willing because they don't have that deaf knowledge already. It's more of a, oh, this is a good idea, establish new program, but they don't have that to back up, that deaf, that deaf knowledge, just deaf awareness. And so that's where, on top of figuring out all who's responsible, it's, oh, this is, deaf knowledge, just to let you know, click, 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 in a nice way, and making sure that the communication is open. And me and my coworker, the TOD, she's amazing, and she's teaching me how collaboration should look like. She's been a part of a team at an institute where that collaboration is not only with just your team that she said, but it's more of just with all staff, making sure communication is open, positive, friendly, and that connects with the next question about how it's important in deaf ed, is because all of your students will have IEPs, and that's a list of more staff and more teammates that you have to make sure collaboration is clear. I give an example of students with IEPs will be going, in and out of class for specialists, and so that kind of pauses your schedule, a little gap, because not all of your students are there. So what do? Do you take advantage of that time for those specific students to really teach and focus on something that they need more improvement on, or because there's less distractions, you can utilize that time? There's a lot more parties involved in deaf education. And then the last one, element of choice. We've been just learning how student-centered based, and that's what the article is saying too, student-led instruction, and teachers are just kind of there to supervise and then support if needed. This will encourage and motivate students to want to learn. Why? Because they know, oh, my teacher's going to give me the options. I don't like just listening to a lecture. I don't like just reading a book. Oh, but I can do what? Watch a movie, put down notes, and then create a poster. And maybe that's because that student, that's just how, their scaffolding works, and their ZPD, they only understand so much, and that's where I connect. A social interaction choice would be great, because then your ZPD does grow, and therefore students can progress along the way. I did connect back up to what I think collaboration looks like. Asking for advice, especially as a new teacher. How do you give choices? What are some good choices to not only promote student-centered learning, but that social interaction. I'm a really proud supporter of Vygotsky's social interaction, and I definitely try and utilize that in my lesson planning when I help the teacher. And I think that's right now where we're at, just since they're so young, preschoolers, and they're just developing, everything's being established. Language, behavior, deaf tendencies because their families aren't, and so they're still learning the culture and what's appropriate, and so we just have to model